All right, I want to welcome everybody in on YouTube viewing out there of our streaming version of the Ram Clutches Nationals here, race number 4 at Knoxville Dragway. We are in a bit of a holding pattern because of some moisture on the racetrack, but we will be back to action just as soon as possible with the continuation of B Gas qualifying round number 1 from the Ram Clutches Knoxville Nationals. While we have a moment, I'll bring you up to date on a completed first round of C-Gas qualifying. Leading the way, the double X of Todd Oden, followed by Jeff Jones in the Renegade, and John McLaughlin coming in the third slot in the disorderly conduct. Fourth being held down by Tony Tadgenhorst. Fifth spot, Ernie Smith in the Saturday Night Special, followed by John Leidick. Randy Kiefer clocking in the 7th spot. Scott Wallace 8th. Jimmy Huff 9th. Dan Hogan rounding out the top 10. Then we got B.B. Brown, Alan Lovelady, and then Jaron Purdue and Diana Casto, who both had to be towed back, not able to make a run. kind of overhearing some radio chatter up here of the track crew. They're saying that everything's getting close. It's just a minute or two, another few drags, and it should be good. And we'll get right back to B-Gas first round qualifying here at the Ram Clutches Knoxville Nationals. All right, A-Gas, you should be in the lanes. We're looking for the completion here of B-Gas. All right, these two coming through the water box again, getting those Mickey Thompsons nice and sticky as they get ready to make a hit right here against this track. Once again, sitting in the seat I'm sitting in, you know, is there any hesitation? But these guys, absolutely not. They know the track personnel have done a great job out here, so they're going to sidestep that clutch, let it eat at about 8,700, maybe even 9,000. Couple of small blocks on the line for you coming up. Robin Harris bringing up Wayne Swafford. Heather Pick bringing up Ted McKee to the line. All right, both guys through the lights pretty good right now today. Everything looks safe. Not seeing any tail lights on that Ted McKee car. Remember, drivers, you got to have at least one tail light on that car that is operational. I don't know if Wayne Swafford meant to go in deep or not, but he did go in deep, so might have hurt his elapsed time just a little bit on that run. All right, Mark Jones in the mini quick 3 out of Elizabeth, Arkansas. He's going to be over here in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. And Brad Wimberly in the Southern Sizzler out of McDonough, Georgia, the 1962 Comet. He's going to be in the quick time performance right lane, being backed up by Robin Harris. Gina Oden helping out Mark Jones here as Mark's wife not able to attend this event this weekend. You don't see Gina working too much other than with Michael Oden, her son, and Todd, her husband, but she's standing in for Miss Jones this weekend. Mark Jones takes off first in the mini quick 3. He goes through the 660 stripe. Brad Wimberly as well, so no problems for either driver right there. And once again, got to hand it to the track crew right here as they got everything fixed in the valley pretty quick as we continue to make thunder here in B-Gas. Elizabethton, Tennessee racer Kelvin Cannon going to be in the right-hand lane. That'll be the quick time performance lane. Driving the 33 Thames panel van called the Loose Cannon. And then we have Michael Oden out of Birmingham, Alabama. That'll be in the Reese Motorsports Insurance left lane, backed up by his mother in the 1962 Chevy 2 called the Double Down 2. Michael Oden from Birmingham, Alabama, one of our 20-year-olds. He's, I think he might be 21 now as he continues to try to get better. Hard lead right there for Michael Oden. You heard him have to get out of it. Short shift to second. So may hurt his elapsed time just a little bit, but a good job of driving. And, you know, his dad, Todd, has got to like that in the maturation process that he is showing. He admittedly told me yesterday he's working on his lights because he feels like he's getting beat a little bit on the lights and giving an advantage to the other drivers. So he trying to work on that right now. All right, next pair up, Tim Lail in the Dreamcatcher. He'll be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane, and he's going to go down the track alongside 20-year-old Zach Evans out of Duncan, South Carolina, in the 1937 Chevy, the Avenger, owned by his papa, Sonny Burr, who was a longtime campaigner in the beginning years with the Southeast Gassers. And this car harkens back to some of the original cars that was in our Southeast Gasser Association. So Zach definitely working to try to get better at shifting gears because these 4-speed manually shifted transmissions do possess a bit of a learning curve for Zach. He's raced some at local bracket races in an automatic, but it has always been a dream of him to get in that Avenger as he has worked on it with his papa over the years, and now he's seeing his dream come true. Now he's just got to work at the process to get better each time. Whoa, Zach, keep it off the center line, young man. That car moved out there in 4th gear. When he shifted to 4th gear, it moved toward the center line. But a good job of Zach keeping it off the other competitor and recovering in his lane. So very nice job right there. One that you don't want to see have to happen, but he handled it really well and did not jerk the wheel and donut that car or worse. That is going to conclude B-Gas here today, first round of qualifying, and we'll get ready for second round of qualifying. The first round of qualifying of A-Gas will be up next. So A-Gas coming at you next. Going to be Barry Lynn going to be up first. Going down the track alongside of Ken Rainwater. Barry Lynn out of Greer, South Carolina, driving that beautiful red 65 Chevy Chevelle wagon that he calls the Little Red Wagon. There ain't nothing little about it. But Barry Lynn, known for his burnouts and known for being a really competitive car. Par race engine under the hood for him, 477 cubic inches. Then we have Ken Rainwater out of Kimberly, Alabama. Rainwater again out of Kimberly, Alabama. Our defending B-Gas world champion, but he's not going to be defending that. He's not going to try to defend that. He's going to move to A-Gas in his car called the Instigator. Robin Harris backing up Barry Lynn. Heather Peak going to bring up the Kimberly, Alabama driver, Ken Rainwater. Rainwater will be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane. Barry Lynn will be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left side. Whoa, Rainwater gets over toward the wall, pushes in the clutch, thinks better of it. Barry Lynn with a nice straight run in that wagon down the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. So Rainwater will have to put all his eggs in the basket to make it into qualifying in the next round. Uncharacteristic to see Rainwater's car go that hard to the right, but it does. You folks watching on the YouTube channel can see the replay of it right now as that car moves hard to the right. Look at everybody scrambling alongside the fence. As we get ready for our next pair, that's going to be Dean Jonas in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane in his 1966 Chevy 2 out of Mount Holly, North Carolina, and Greg Stelz in his 57 Pontiac, the Joker, out of Wapaka, Wisconsin. Greg's wife, Leah Stelz, backing him up. She handles all the backup duties for the Joker. Stelz left before the green, but that's not a problem here in qualifying as both drivers make it down the 660-foot track in safe fashion. They get ready to make the turnoff right there. All right, there he is, Lenore City, Tennessee native Blake Housley in the Mr. Quick 1955 Chevy. He's going to be in the Quick Time Performance right lane. It's 477 cubic inches of Rare and Morrison horsepower underneath the hood for him. Scott Badisilich out of Alabama is going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane in his 1941 Willis called the the orange peeler. We need super stock in the lanes for round number 2 of qualifying. Super stock in the lanes for round number 2 of qualifying. All right, we need H gas for your first round of qualifying as well. H gas for your first round of qualifying. We need you to the lanes. That might be the best elapsed time I've ever seen Blake Housley lay down, as he has admittedly struggled a little bit with this combination. But, man, it looks like in that pass he's got it down pat as we get ready for the next two coming out of the water box right now. That's going to be Ray Ballou in his bad alibi. He's out of Dalton, Georgia. 1955 Ford with a big 455 cubic inch Ford motor under the hood. And over in the Quick Time Performance right lane, a man that has been red hot here lately in our A-Gas category. Winner of 2 events this year, Ben Christopher in the Happy Days 66 Chevy 2. He's being backed up by Robin Harris. Christopher with Jason Line horsepower, 477 cubic inches underneath the hood for him. And as I said before, just a guy who has absolutely been on fire as he looks to continue that here tonight at Knoxville Dragway. Cool shot right there. The lights on both cars as Robin Harris brings up Ben Christopher to the line. Christy Burchett helping out over there with Ray Ballou. Wow, look at Christopher. He is shot out of a cannon. And that car continues to lower elapsed times as he has put that car right there to the provisional #1 spot as we are still qualifying in A-Gas round #1. But, man, I hope you guys, photography gurus down there along the wall, Jimmy Buffalo Hall, we got him here from Gasser Magazine, as well as several others. I hope you got a shot of those cars lifting off the line right there. Marlon Short with a big, long, smoky dig right there. What a job by Marlon Short, lighting them up in that 1930 Model A right there. Pay him off with a round of applause as he comes back by. There you see his wife saying, come on, crowd, give him a hand. The short temper of Marlon Short, man, it's not big on being interviewed by me, but he likes to get behind the wheel of that car, and it is a definite bucking Bronco right there, and he handles it really, really well. He's going to go down the track alongside of Leslie Horn in the Chick Magnet, that 1955 Chevy that is known oh so well. 477 cubic inches of Gene Fulton power underneath the hood for him. Looks like both drivers had a little bit of trouble out there moving around, so they just pushed the clutch in and saved it for a better day. And that is such a smart thing to do by all these drivers, as they have hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes invested in these cars and thousands of man hours on each car. So they want to live to make it to round #2 of qualifying. All right, the beautiful stars and stripes behind that Iron Eagle of Barry Adler. He's going to be over in the Quick Time Performance lane, and coincidentally, Barry Adler owns Quick Time Performance. So the owner of Quick Time Performance has that car in that lane. And what a beautiful Stars and Stripes tribute he has, as his wife Jessie Adler out front backing up her husband in that 63 split winner Corvette with the Gene Fulton 451 underneath the hood. Tony Turner in the 1939 Dodge, the Quick and Dirty. And folks, I highly encourage you to meet Tony Turner. If you hadn't met Tony Turner, you're losing out in life. The guy absolutely attacks life with a smile on his face, and he's put together a beautiful race car. He knows it might not be the sleekest, but it's big, it's heavy, and it's his, and it's the Quick and Dirty out of Green Creek, North Carolina. Wow, Barry Adler must have felt a little bit of the same thing as Leslie Horn did a while ago. The car kind of washes out in the rear end about the top end of second gear, third gear, mid-track. So he thoughtfully just backs out of it and cruises the rest of the 660 feet. Whoa, Tony Turner got a little bit out of shape at the top end, but he gathers it back in. What a wheel stand he made right there coming off the line. That was a good job. All right, Knoxville, Tennessee racer Brad Henry in his 41 Henry J, called the Wild Child. He'll be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane. And Enoch Dixon going to go down the track alongside him in his car called the Scrambler. So a couple of Knoxville area racers. I don't know why I say Henry J, because I guess I'm missing a couple of the Henry J's that are around here. But a 41 Willis is what Brad Henry drives. How can you mistake those two? But I did. And that is a little bit of a bumble, a snafu on my part. But Henry has done a great job of putting that car back together, as he had a little front end incident down at our race in Alabama at Holiday Dragway. All right, so it looks like some of our A-gas guys are getting maybe a three-quarter run, three-quarter pass right there and feeling a little insecure about the top end. I don't know what that might be, but hey, some are getting down, some are not. Here comes Alan Pittman in the Grave Digger 2. You got to think a former NHRA Pro Mod World Champion, he might be able to get down the racetrack in a full pull, and if he does, folks, we've seen this car lift the front end up in all four gears. Gene Fulton 477 under the hood for Pittman. Pittman out of Greenville, South Carolina, built this car over the winter. He is a chassis builder himself at AP Race Cars. So he built this car himself and got that flat black finish on it with that gold leaf. That just really pops. Got his grandson right out front backing him up. Something that he got approval of to do, and that's a big time thing for his grandson to back up Papa right there. And never know, he might be the next Zach Evans. He might be behind the wheel of the Grave Digger 3 in a few years. So this is our last car in our A-gas category right here for first round of qualifying. Love the red. Man, that is so cool. The Grave Digger with the red headlights. That is really cool, folks. Hope you get a shot of that as Alan Pittman gets prepared to go down the Quick Time Performance right lane. No problems for Alan Pittman as he clicks it off right there at the end of the 660. making a nice pass for himself. One of the faster passes that I've seen him make in the couple of years that he's been out here. Superstock, you should be in the lanes now. Superstock, you should be in the lanes now for your second round of qualifying. H-Gas, you should be there for your first round of qualifying. C-Gas, we need you to the lanes. So if you're following us on the live stream on YouTube, make sure you click in and let us know where you're watching from. We've got people already from across the pond in London, England, clocking in with us and letting us know. All right, H-Gas is the exhibition category for us. Sean Landis going to be in the quick time performance lane. And Todd Hines out of the Knoxville area, he's going to be over in his Studebaker in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. All right, that is our H-Gas category. We had 2 cars show up for that, so that is a exhibition class. If you thinking about it, you can check it out at southeastgassers.com and go under the web, the rules, and that would be where you can find out how to build one of those H-Gas cars. All right, you guys popping in from Virginia, Kissimmee, Florida. We appreciate you guys watching on the live stream. Tanya Reed, we want to wish you all the best. I know you're recuperating there at the UAB Medical Center in Birmingham, Alabama. I know you'd rather be up here, but we're glad you're in great hands there. Hudson, North Carolina. Greg Brown, appreciate you clocking in there with us. Jacksonville, Florida, watching. Gallatin, Tennessee, Elizabeth, Arkansas. I think I know who that is. Jacksonville, Florida, Seminole Nation. Yes, sir. Part of those Seminole tribe. Love the Seminoles down there. One of my favorite teams. Link Jarrett and those guys do a tremendous job, as well as Miss Amy Bond, who's been to the Nationals 10 years in a row with their women's golf team. C-Gas, we need you to the lanes, please. Superstock, you should be there already. We need Superstock there now. You should already be there. And C-Gas, make your way up. Let me update you on B-Gas qualifying times after first round. Ted McKee leads the way in the Rocky Top Missile, followed by Bill Revels in the Black Betty. Mark Jones in the Mini Quick 3 holds down the 3 spot, and Michael Oden comes in at the 4 slot in the Double Down 2. Wayne Swafford rounds out the top 5 in Leroy. Zach Evans in the Avenger is holding down 6, followed by Kelvin Cannon. Brad Wimberly in the Southern Sizzler. Zach Hall, I've seen him leave, so I think he has withdrawn from competition. Then we got Tim Lale, Charlie Lee, who had some problems, and I'm sure he'll get that fixed, and Greg Adams, who had a little starting line snafu, unable to get a time, so he's throwing everything toward his second round of qualifying. Got some people also watching from Michigan. Hey, go Team Joker. Oxford, Georgia. Huntsville, Alabama. Now, Huntsville, Alabama, y'all should be here. Jan Boggs, get in that car and get on up here. Next time, you don't want to miss this one. Lake Stanton, Indiana. We appreciate each and every one of you guys clocking in right here and watching us on the live feed and supporting our sponsors like Ram Clutches, partnered here with us today as they do every time at Knoxville Dragway. This is the Ram Clutches Knoxville Nationals being brought to you once again by Ram Clutches. A-Gas qualifying times. Ben Christopher continues to lead the way in the Happy Days, followed by Blake Housley. Alan Pittman in the Gravedigger 2 rounds out the top 3. Greg Stelz with a good run is going to be 4th in the Joker. 5th in the Agent Orange is Dean Jonas. Barry Lynn in the Little Red Wagon going to be 6th, followed by Brad Henry, Barry Adler, and Scott Bodisilich in the Orange Peeler. Tony Turner rounds out the top 10, followed by Ray Ballou, Enoch Dixon, Leslie Horn, who had to abort his run, as well as Marlon Short and Ken Rainwater. Those last 3 right there, I really expect to make a major move in second round of qualifying. Second round of qualifying getting started for Super Stock right here as they are at the ready. All right, the man who qualified in the 9 slot after round number 1, Dean Hall in the Sledgehammer, that 1966 Fairlane GT. He's going to be in the quick time performance right lane. Rob Walden, the man who was number 2 in qualifying and our defending race winner from Brainerd, he'll be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. All right, Rob Walden streaking away with the taillights into the night. He does lower his elapsed time. All right, Sacramento, California clocking in with us. Weaverville, California. We got some West Coasters. We hope to bring you some of that 1960s West Coast gasser racing action right here, and we hope you enjoy it. We thank you for tuning in. Tony Nowosadski going to be up next in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. He was the number 3 qualifier after round number 1. He's going to go down the track alongside of Bryant Dalton Sr. from Sevierville, Tennessee, a hometown guy right here. And he qualified in the number 5 slot in round number 1. He'll be in the quick time performance right lane. Nowosadski shaves a little bit off of his round 1 elapsed time. Bryant Dalton shaves a good bit off of his, about 0.3 of a second. So That's going to move him up just a little bit. But we've still got things ready to shake out here in Superstock as we got Don Wilmot in the Quick Time Performance right lane in his 1966 Mustang. And he's going to go down the track alongside Mickey Huddleston again. Huddleston, the number 8 qualifier after round number 1, and Wilmot, the number 7 qualifier after round 1. Tony Hall, you need to be at the racetrack with your family. We see you in Abbeville, South Carolina, and they're clocking in. We love you guys and can't wait to see that scalded dog back out here for the Hall family. Wilmot's going to get there first to the line. Let's see if he shaves any off. Yeah, he shaves about a half a, 5/10 of a second off of his first round qualifying effort. So that's a good move for him. Huddleston shaves a little, about 3/10 off for himself. All right, the street legal of Kenny Phillips going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left-hand lane. And over in the right-hand lane in the Quick Time Performance lane, that's going to be Ronnie Jones in the Crimson and Clover 1967 Camaro here from Knoxville, Tennessee. That right there would be a good drag race in first round. I tell you what, both those guys doing a great job of lowering their elapsed time. Kenny Phillips shaving 2/10 of a second off of his time. Jones shaving about 3/10 of a second off, so. All right, Rochester, New York, a lot of great car clubs up around the Rochester area. We see y'all checking in here. And Goochland, Virginia, never heard of that one, but we're glad to learn about Goochland, Virginia by you checking in here today with us on our live feed. All right, we got somebody wanting to let our viewer Mark Alicera know in Rochester, New York, to go get a garbage plate and enjoy some Southeast Gasser Racing. Now, I don't know what a garbage plate is, but I'll bet you, coming from the gentleman that was telling me, it's pretty good food. And the man who sits atop Superstock and has for many, many years, the last 2 years, he's the defending champ this year. That is Jerry Dean, the Dean of Superstock. He is going to go down the Quick Time Performance right lane. And he'll be the last qualifier we've got here. Hope Seagas is already in the lanes. And as we have Seagas in the lanes, we're going to call B-Gas to come on up too. We'll keep this thing moving, guys. Things are rolling well. I tell you, when you got a veteran behind the wheel, you don't miss a shift. And you could hear what a great job he got through the gears right there. Lowered his elapsed time from his number one spot another 0.3 of a second. So Jerry Dean getting his nickname, honestly, the Dean of Superstock, as he continues to be on this torrid streak he's on. We tried to put weight on him. We're trying to do everything we can to try to neutralize the competition. But I tell you what, Jerry Dean, Karen Mitchell, and the crew over there, they continue to just persevere through anything that's thrown their way. And they're going to be hard to beat here in the Smoky Mountains tonight. Drivers want to make sure that you know once you get off the racetrack, make sure you turn your lights off before getting to the scales, because that is not helping our scale operator because he's blinded by your headlights. All right, into our gas classes as we get ready for C gas. First man out the gate going to be Jeff Jones, the man who sits number 2 in qualifying in the Renegade. He's out of Washington, Indiana. He'll be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane, backed up by Heather. Got some more people clocking in right here. Boonville, Arkansas, Houston. So glad you guys are watching from Houston, Ohio. Cullowhee, North Carolina. That's where my daughter went to college, up there in Cullowhee, in a beautiful, beautiful part of western North Carolina. We appreciate the Metal Flakes Car Club watching from New Florence, Missouri. We really appreciate you guys. Richmond, Kentucky, we appreciate you. Hope you're getting this action as Jeff Jones goes in deep. Dan Hogan gets a little bit of the drop on him right there. So if this was a race, you know, in eliminations, that would be something to see right there. As don't think Jeff Jones meant to go in deep, but that's going to hurt his elapsed time just a little bit. Dan Hogan clicks off a really nice run for himself. He's going to improve about 0.3 of a second, or 0.6 of a second, does Dan Hogan. He was in the 10 slot. We'll see where he all washes out after we continue with it. Our C-Gas qualifying is still going on right now. All right, B.B. Brown from Dalton, Georgia, in the Deputy Dog out there. And Anglia right there is in the Quick Time Performance right lane. If you hadn't ever met B.B. Brown, that's another guy you got to meet. He is a wonderful, wonderful car knowledge, car enthusiast. Got some beautiful cars, and one that he races right here with the Southeast Gassers. He has been racing on and off with us for the better part of 8 years, maybe even longer. And we got Jimmy Huff out of Loganville, Georgia, in the Hoopty wagon right here on the Larice Motorsports Insurance left-hand side. Unfortunately, Love It Speed Shop don't look like we're coming back to London, Kentucky anytime soon, just to answer your question. There are no talks in there to come back to London, Kentucky that this announcer knows about. So B.B. Brown gets out a little bit earlier. Jimmy Huff has to run him down and pass him. But B.B. left before the tree activated, so his time is not going to count. So Jimmy Huff not able to go faster in that one. Yes, we've heard, Greg Brown, we've heard of Hudson Drag Strip. Not going to be making any plans right there. So just to let my compatriot know here, Mark Alicera has said he has eaten plenty of garbage plates before from Rochester, New York. So you're going to have to explain to me maybe in a private message, Mark, what a garbage plate is. Ernie Smith's brother watching from Columbia, South Carolina. I don't know if that means you're incarcerated in the penitentiary down there or what. Joke. I'm just joking around. We love Ernie. Ernie's a stalwart here. Been racing with us almost I don't think he's missed a race in 11 years. Man, Todd Oden letting it eat right there as he comes out of the water box, and he's going to be going down the track alongside of Scott Wallace out of Ellery, Illinois. And folks, look at that 52 Pontiac Chieftain. Got the Chieftain lit up on the hood. And folks, that's something special. To get a Chieftain and then for that hood ornament to work, that is pretty darn cool. So Scott Wallace, he was the number 8 qualifier after round number 1. He's going to try to improve that time. Todd Oden, the number 1 qualifier, he's going to look to see if he can improve on that even more, because I know Todd Oden is the ever more of a competitor. But when you're number 1, it's hard to beat that. So Scott Wallace shoots at the tree, but Todd Oden drives back around him. Todd Oden not going to be improving his elapsed time, but that's still, right now, he's still number 1 on the proverbial pole, provisional pole, as we continue with C Gas. Mike Sampson will be back in Ringgold, Georgia next year. I pretty much can guarantee you that. Unfortunately, we're not going to be Reading, Pennsylvania. We're still not going to be able to get up there. This is the Southeast Gassers. Unfortunately, with the prices and a lot of our guys got regular jobs, so they're not going to be able to travel that far. So that's one that we won't be able to make right there. Vermont checking in. Glad, that's a beautiful state right there. Wheelock, Vermont. I don't know where that is, but Vermont, just a beautiful state. As Tony Tagenhorst gets ready to go over there in the quick time performance right lane. All right, there's Dirty Ernie Smith. He clocked in and is not going to make an improvement right there. Tagenhorst, he is going to make a slight improvement in his elapsed time. Couple of foul right there, but good to see Ernie Smith getting down the racetrack, as he had a myriad of problems last night. Next up, John McLaughlin in a disorderly conduct out of Alabama in that 1948 Anglia. He'll be over in the quick time performance right lane, and then in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane, Diana Casto going to try it again, throw all her eggs into this basket, as she had trouble in round number 1. Got people watching from the country of Belgium, Canton, Georgia, clicking in. You should be here, Chris Bailey. If you're in Canton, Georgia, you should be here, brother. Nothing like seeing it live and in person, but we're going to do the best we can to bring you the live feed here today and call all the action for you. But these folks in Knoxville, Tennessee, they have been great for us, sticking around through some inclement weather, and we still got a big crowd here today. Or I should say tonight. Not used to saying tonight, because most of the time we don't run at night. We move this race back to the 5 o'clock start time to try to help with the heat a little bit. But We didn't know what else was coming our way. All right, good to see Jaron Purdue getting around the corner right there. As hopefully they got everything fixed in the rear end of that car. I don't know what they had to do. I was up here, but he was saying there's a lot of work to be done. There's John Leidick is going to be the guy going down the track alongside him. Leidick in the 57 two-door post. He'll be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. And in the right lane, that'll be Jaron Purdue in the 62 Chevy 2 wagon called Fulton's Ghost. Fulton providing the power, Gene Fulton underneath the hood. Don't know exactly if he's got a 292 or if he's a little bit north of that on the cubic inches. I'll try to find that out for you if I'm able to gather a word with him. Wheel stand for John Leidick right there. The car, he gets it back straight. I tell you what, that's a solid run for Jaron Purdue. It's going to put him solidly in the top half of this field. You know, after having the trouble he had in round number 1 of qualifying, that is a great effort right there. I got to tip my hat to those guys and that crew and everybody who was probably helping. And the wonderful thing about the Southeast Gassers is there were probably drivers in C-Gas, his competitors, over there helping him and maybe even letting him borrow parts if he didn't have it. Alan Lovelady, the number 12 qualifier in round number 1, is going to be in the quick time performance right lane. Randy Kiefer, he qualified in the number 7 spot after round number 1, and he's going to be in his 56 Pontiac Chieftain wagon over in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. I doubt we're coming back to South Georgia Motorsports Park there, Robbie Kaler. That's just not something I think is in the works right now. Southern Indiana, we appreciate y'all. Pensacola, Florida clicking in right here tonight. All right, looks like Lovelady popped out of gear right there. He'll get it on down the racetrack. We got somebody asking a question online here on the live feed. Will we be back at Shadyside? That'll be Halloween right there. Will we be back at Shadyside Dragway for the last race of the year? All right, B-Gas coming up to you next. Once again, 8 pounds per cubic inch of displacement. A-Gas, we need you guys to the lanes now, please. A-Gas, we need you to the lanes now, please. All right, before we get started on B-Gas, once again, the Rocky Top Missile of Ted McKee, your number one qualifier. Bill Revels in the Black Betty sits number 2 after round number 1. Mark Jones in the Mini Quick 3 out of Elizabeth, Arkansas in the 3 spot, followed by Michael Oden in the Double Down, and Wayne Swafford rounding out the top 5 in Leroy. Zach Evans 6th, Kelvin Cannon 7th. Brad Wimberly's going to hold down that 8 spot, and Tim Lale 9th. Charlie Lee 10th, and Greg Adams is going to be holding down that 11 slot. Adams having a little bit of trouble in qualifying, getting staged and everything, so he's going to put all his eggs in one basket here in the second round, as well as Charlie Lee, because that is not characteristic of Charlie Lee's qualifying efforts. All right, the aforementioned Mark Jones is going to be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane, part of the first pair here for second round of qualifying. Kelvin Cannon, the number 7 qualifier in the loose cannon, going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane and going down the track alongside of him for second round. B-Gas cars have to weigh 8 pounds per cubic inch of displacement that they choose. Our A-Gas cars about 6 pounds per cubic inch, making them the fastest cars here. C-Gas 10 pounds per cubic inch. Man, great looking leave right there by Mark Jones. All right back with you. B-Gas coming around the corner again. We've got Greg Adams, Winchester, Tennessee, going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. Michael Oden, the 21-year-old out of Birmingham, Alabama, going to be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane. So Michael Oden, part of that Double X team out of Birmingham, Alabama. Kevin Bruner, we appreciate you watching the YouTube channel with us and on the live feed from Elizabeth, West Virginia. Larry Floyd, Gulfport, Mississippi, former world champion in C-Gas. He's watching us, and I know we'll see him at our big event in Gulfport, Mississippi, that double race that we have coming up in a few races. Michael Oden over a little toward the wall, but he holds on to it and takes it through. Michael Oden going to definitely improve his elapsed time right there with that one. That would get him all the way to the second spot in round number 1. but we are still got more to go in B gas. Round number 2. All right, Charlie Lee, that's one I expect to make a move right here. He's going to be in the quick time performance right lane in his Mustang, a little fastback Mustang. His dad built that 322 cubic inch motor underneath the hood. And then we got Bill Revels out of Canton, North Carolina in the Black Betty, the 1963 Comet. He's going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. Couple of good cars right here. You can see this in the semifinals of any race we have. And as I said before, Bill Revels, the number 2 qualifier at this current point in time after round number 1. And Charlie Lee having some problems down there in the 10 slot. And I know he's fixing to change all that with this elapsed time. I'm telling you, folks, if you are not entertained, you need to check your blood pressure, because Charlie Lee just took it right to the top of B-Gas qualifying with that shot right there. He will overtake Ted McKee, but McKee still has to qualify for round number 2, so he gets a shot at it too. Fort Lauderdale in the house. Another Northern California. We love you Cali guys clicking in here with us. Love that West Coast gasser vibe. We bringing it here to the Southeast. Zach Evans coming up here. He was the number 6 qualifier in round number 1. He'll be in the quick time performance right lane in that 37 Chevy, the Avenger. Tim Lale in the Dreamcatcher, the number 9 qualifier after round number 1. He's going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane in that Chevy 2. That Chevy 2 has a nice lineage about it. It won the championship in 2020 when Steve Spinny Davis took it to a championship in A-Gas. Then the car was bought by Rod Bergner, who campaigned it for many years. And now Bergner moved back to the state of Texas, doing a little things different. But he's still running a gasser. He's running his 55 Chevy, the Undertaker. So Zach Evans did not improve on his time. Neither car improved, really. So they'll continue to move on. Thank you so much for that. McDonald right there. I forgot that Charlie Lee was from Sparta, Tennessee, but thank you so much for that. There's the Leroy, Wayne Swafford coming out of there at water box doing a smoky burnout. Wayne out of Fingerville, South Carolina in his car he calls the Leroy. It's a Billy Edwards built race car, prepared and maintained by Brian Harris Race Cars. Swafford clocked in at the number 5 spot after round number 1. Uncharacteristically let it roll in a little deep and turned off the top bulb. So that hurt his elapsed time a little bit. So we're going to see if that Gene Fulton small block can get a little better elapsed time. So it looks like Brad Wimberly was going to be the guy going down the track alongside him, but Wimberly has had some problems in that Southern Sizzler. We hope he can make sure he can fix that. We hope he can fix it and be ready for round number 1 of eliminations coming up here later on tonight. So Wayne Swafford going to get some single action right here as he gets a chance to take a shot at the tree and let it all hang out in that quick time performance right lane. All right, Wayne Swafford making an improvement on his time. That's a good improvement. Not going to get him to the top, but it might possibly get him in the top 3. We'll see how it shakes out. So Ted McKee. Now, you wonder why we're doing 2 single runs back to back. But we had one guy break in Wimberley, so that made the single for Wayne Swafford. Wayne needed to make a qualifying effort in each lane, as all our competitors do, just as Ted McKee's doing. McKee was in the quick time performance right lane in first round of qualifying, so now he needs to make a pass in the Larice Motorsports Insurance lane on the left-hand side. So that's why they couldn't be matched up together, is because Wimberley was supposed to go and unfortunately had a malfunction. Also, guys, want to make sure you know, if you're looking for any of your officially licensed merchandise, well, we'll let Ted McKee take a shot here. And Ted McKee goes faster. I think he might have just overtaken Charlie Lee right there by 0.02 of a second or so to go back to the number 1 spot. What a run right there by the Tim Freeman motor in that car, the Rocky Top Missile. Ted McKee going back to the top. So in between rounds, or when we got some downtime, if you're looking for any of the officially licensed merchandise of the Southeast Gassers, go over and see Holly and Stephen Smith. They're at the Southeast Gasser Gear Trailer, located behind the stands, adjacent to the staging lanes here on the tower side. They've got all your stickers, patches, hats, shirts, everything, including the 250th anniversary of a United States of America Southeast Gasser shirts in red and blue. And I highly recommend both, because we are red, white, and blue as a country. While I have a moment on a personal note, just want to bring you forth on what's coming up. We've got the Revival at the Rock, July the 31st and August 1st. We'll be at Rockingham Dragway, and what that one is still open to be sponsored. If anybody's looking to sponsor that race or a race with us, they can do it at a very historic racetrack, the Rockingham Dragway in Richmond County, North Carolina. Also, we got the G-Force Nationals at Farmington Dragway coming up August 21st and 22nd. So make sure you set your calendars for that. As we move into A-Gas, Lenore City, Tennessee racer Blake Housley in the 1955 Chevy, the Mr. Quick, going to be on the left-hand side right there. 477 cubic inches of Rare and Morrison underneath the hood for him. Barry Lynn out of Greer, South Carolina, in the 65 Chevy Chevelle wagon, the Little Red Wagon. He'll be over in the quick time performance right lane. Barry Lynn clocked in at the number 6 qualifying spot after round number 1. And once again, Blake Housley in the number 2 slot. Wow, that car made a hard move. Mr. Quick car made a hard move, and Blake Housley pushes in the clutch and says, I will stand on my first round elimination, my first round ET as we go into the bracket here later on tonight for first round of eliminations in A-Gas. Want to thank everybody for watching online. I'm trying to respond as I can, but we got action going right here in front of us. That is Greg Stelz, the number 4 qualifier after round number 1 in his Joker out of Wapaka, Wisconsin. Leah Stelz right out front, as she always is, backing up that 1957 Pontiac. Then we got Ray Ballou in the Bad Alibi, the 1955 Ford, over in the QuickTime Performance right lane. Christy Burchett helping out over there, bringing up the Dalton, Georgia racer. No improvement for both drivers as they clicked it off a little early down there on the big end. Next up, number 1 qualifier, Ben Christopher in the Happy Days. Couple of 66 Chevy 2s right here. And Dean Jonas in his 66 Chevy 2, the number 5 qualifier in the Agent Orange. Ben Christopher has been white hot here lately on that Southeast Gasser Tour, as he is the points leader in A-Gas and the man to beat, as he is also sitting number 1 right now after round number 1. Robin Harris backing him up. Colette Foley backing up her man Dean Jonas in the QuickTime Performance right lane. JD Mopar, yes, we've got a great crowd here considering all the circumstances we've been through. We tend to have a great crowd here every time we go to Knoxville, Tennessee. So Christopher with another great run, not going to beat his first round qualifying time because it looked like the car got a little free out there about the third gear shift. But it's still a good run right there. All right, Alan Pittman, the number 3 qualifier in the Gravedigger 2, going to be in the left-hand lane here for the Larice Motorsports insurance sponsorship. And then Enoch Dixon going to be in the Scrambler over there in the right lane, the QuickTime Performance lane. Gene Fulton power under the hood for Alan Pittman, 477 cubic inches. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. If you get a chance to go look at Pittman's car while he's got the top tilted on it or something like that, you're going to see an exquisitely built race car. And just the attention to detail and design on that car is second to none. And we've got several guys out here that are that way. So we're waiting on Dean Jonas. We've got to get him off the top end of the racetrack before we can move on to the next pair. But we will do that as quickly as possible, and so we can finish up A-Gas qualifying.
Tap, tap. Who's there? Ice cold beer. Because at Wings, etc., cold beer is always on tap.
Whether it's tires for your off-roading application, your street rod, and certainly the world of drag racing, from junior dragsters to the popular ET Drag Slick, which some of the top competitors in Southeast Gassers Association drag racing use to perform at a high level. It is Mickey Thompson, and high performance being synonymous for over decades. Those Mickeys are sticky. Get stuck with high performance with Mickey Thompson. Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment.
That's like a second plate. Always go back for more. I'll take more burnouts anytime. Enoch Dixon in the scrambler over there in the far lane. That is the QuickTime Performance right lane in Southeast Gassers Association competition with a fine burnout. And then here in the tower lane at Knoxville Dragway, the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane in Sega Drag Racing of Pro Mod legend Alan Pittman. The last time that he was here at Knoxville Dragway, he would have been in a beautiful 41 Willis candy apple red scheme. They decided to switch things up over the off-season, go to the Chevy 2 platform, and it has been a bad, fast hot rod. Let's see what he does here. Wheels up, Alan Pittman down through the Knoxville Dragway 8th mile. And that was certainly a solid hit for Alan Pittman. This is Lee Kraft filling in briefly for the voice of the Southeast Gassers Association, David Lancaster. We got Mr. Logan Horn on the ones and twos for the live stream at the moment, helping out. That's the son of Leslie Horn. He's doing a fine job over there in the water box. Mr. Short over there in the far lane. Watch him on this burnout. He certainly knows how to light the hides. And then in this tower lane, it is Mr. Henry, Brad Henry, in the Wild Child 41 Willis. I absolutely love this machine that is in the tower lane. It reminds me of dear old Dad. Late for me. My dad, James Kraft, Melvin Kraft, was Gene Cromer's crew chief all those years back in the mid-'60s. Gene Cromer, the pilot of the Moonlighter gasser. Well, I look at that blue 41 Willis there in the tower lane, and it reminds me of the Moonlighter. And it certainly is a good thing to see Mr. Henry back. He definitely was the wild child of the competitors at Holiday Raceway 2 races ago. Woodstock, Alabama, got out of shape, car turned, and he nosed that beautiful Willis into the wall. But it is repaired. He is back at the track, his home track, and he is staging, ready to send it here in Sega action. Mr. Short, Mr. Henry, launching. Gears banging down the 8th mile here at Knoxville Dragway and through the lights. Well, we're not in eliminations, but if Mr. Short did get there in eliminations, it would have been first. And I have no clue what the qualifying order is, so I can't give you an update properly of who is doing what and where, because David is out at the moment, and I'm filling in, and I've been on the ones and twos. Quick and dirty over in the far lane. Here, Tower Lane. The instigator, Mr. Ken Rainwater. He is quite the instigator, in fact. This is a perfect name on this red gasser. He switches categories from B-Gas, winning a championship in it last year, to A-Gas. And this car has already been a stout piece in A-Gas, and they have not fully worked the kinks out. And last I heard, they technically don't have their A-Gas motor in this hot rod. So he has been getting it done, and that's no shock for Mr. Rainwater being a champion. Well, that pair down the 8th mile here at Knoxville Dragway putting on a wheels-up show. The instigator in the quick and dirty machine. We're going to let it go back to the voice of the Southeast Gassers Association, David Lancaster, and he'll be able to get down and dirty with you.
Thank you so much, Lee. Down and dirty, the quick and dirty. I love that car. I tell you what, it just grows on you and grows on you. Next pair down, you're going to find Scott Budisilich, the number 9 qualifier after round number 1 in his 1941 Willys, the orange peeler. He's going to be going down the track alongside the number 8 qualifier from round number 1, Barry Adler, in the Iron Eagle. Adler, you might remember, had a little bump up here last year. He kind of donutted it down there toward it, spun it around at the end of the track. Just kind of took the fiberglass nose off the front. But Adler was a winner last year in his inaugural season at our Brainerd event last year. He's going to be brought to the line by his wife, Jessie Adler. 1963 split window Corvette with a 451 cubic inch Gene Fulton power plant underneath the hood. Whoa, Budisilich gets a little out of control out there in that area around the 330-foot mark. So he pushes into clutch. But a good straight run right there for Barry Adler. I don't think that's going to improve him much. Yes, it will improve him. It'll improve him almost 0.4 of a second in that run right there. So Adler making an improvement. We'll see where that all washes out once the end of A-Gas qualifying happens, and it is complete here after the Chick Magnet of Leslie Horn will be up next, the 1955 Chevy. 477 cubic inches of Gene Fulton power underneath the hood. Just a beautiful race car. Probably the winningest race car in the Southeast Gasser history. This car was built by Quayne Stott for Shannon Smith, who was a 2-time world champion and multiple-time winner in the early years of the Southeast Gassers. It went by the name of the Pale Rider. So if you are a person that has been with us many years with the Southeast Gassers, you may remember the Pale Rider. Then it was bought by Horn, and now it's campaigned under the name of Chick Magnet. And it has gone on to win 2 championships as well as over 25 races, according to Logan Horn, crew chief of the Chick Magnet. Robin Harris doing the backup duties for Horn. Something happened. That just didn't sound right, as that car did a lot of spinning going down the racetrack. So Leslie Horn will not improve on his elapsed time from round number 1. So he'll have to stick and stay and hope, see where it washes out as we completed now round number 1 of qualifying. And we have completed qualifying here tonight at Knoxville Dragway as we get ready for opening ceremonies coming up in just a few moments. Want to thank everybody for being online here with us, watching our live feed. I'm sorry that you didn't make it out here, Jamie Cable. Yeah, you should be here. We're glad to be bringing it to you. The live feed brought to you by the Southeast Gassers. 5-star 1977 said, "Where's Chase Howard, our 2025 world champion in A-Gas?" Well, Chase Howard became a father again just the other day, so he is not here, as he and his wife Bonnie welcomed a baby girl into this world, and they are resting at home. I hope at home, or they might be in the still in the hospital. But because it has been very, very recent that happened. So you might not see as much of Chase Howard this year in his defense of the points title, but that is where Chase Howard is. There's some of you guys asking online. We'll take a few moments to get everything done with trap prep, and we'll be right back to action as we get opening ceremony started in just a moment. We need Super Stock and C-Gas in the lanes now, please. Super Stock and C-Gas in the lanes for first round of eliminations. We need you in the lanes now.
I'm usually more of an eater than a speaker, but I'd like to propose a toast. Here's to weekly specials on ice-cold beer, tankers, and taps. Here's to the interweb and being a clickety-clack away from smoked red tips, jumbo shrimp, and world-famous wings. Congratulations, Wings Etc. You make any day special.
Whether it's tires for your off-roading application, your street rod, and certainly the world of drag racing, from junior dragsters to the popular ET Drag Slick, which some of the top competitors in the Southeast Gassers Association drag racing use to perform at a high level. It is Mickey Thompson and high performance being synonymous for over decades. Those Mickeys are sticky. Get stuck with high performance with Mickey Thompson.
Larice Motorsports Insurance offers drag racers the broadest insurance policies in the industry. Larice Motorsports Insurance was created by racers for racers. Larice insures race cars on and off the track, trailers and equipment. Larice even pays racers contingencies at the fling bracket races. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Larice Motorsports Insurance today.
All right, folks, we're going to get ready to get started doing some drag racing. I know we've been doing qualifying. And I so much appreciate y'all hanging out here with us. I know we're running way behind schedule with the weather and everything, but we promised y'all we was going to give it our 110% effort to get this race in, and that's what we're going to do. So qualifying is over, and it's time to go boogity boogity. So we appreciate y'all sticking it out with us. My hat's off to the Southeast Gassers. They put on a hell of a show, and it's because of you guys. So we're glad to have them in the house. And we're going to do a few things right here before we get started. But one thing that we're real big on around here is standing up and giving honor to God and country. Now, if you're wheelchair bound, we understand. But if you're able to stand, you better stand or you're going to leave. And that's just the simplest way I'm going to put it. Because the world we live in today, this is a heck of a blessing to be out here and be able to do what we're going to do, and we're going to stand for God, and we're going to stand for country. So I'm going to ask everybody one more time, rise to your feet if you can. While we do this, I'm going to introduce Mr. Rocky right here with the Southeast Gassers Association. We got a couple of veterans out here. And then we're going to break it in real with the national anthem here in just a second. We've got a special guest in the house with us, but I'm going to let Rocky have the microphone. He's going to introduce these gentlemen right here, and we're going to get ready to do the deal right here. So, folks, remain standing for me.
Hey, guys, just want to thank all of y'all coming out here. Knoxville never disappoints. With the weather the way it is, the way it's been today, and see this crowd up here. Night race in Knoxville is so cool, and we haven't done a night race in Knoxville in many years. So once again, just thank everyone for coming out here. We love coming here. Wes Clapp and his whole team, they do a fantastic job of everything they do. So once again, and we'll be back next year, and year after that, and year after that. It's just Knoxville's incredible. Thank you for everything you do. Okay, we got, I always pick out one veteran to come out here and hold a flag. We got two veterans tonight to hold a flag. I'll let you introduce yourself, please.
Patrick Barlow, Go With the Flag Guy on Facebook. I'm from Maryville, Tennessee.
Thank you. Appreciate your service.
You're working, sir.
This man here, they just call him Poppy. That's all we're going to call him when there's a Poppy. He's an Army vet. He's B.B. Brown's father-in-law. And BB's been with us for many, many years, and we're so glad to have you up here to hold the flag for us, and we appreciate your service. Now, David Lancaster, voice of Sega, he's going to say the prayer from up top, and then we're going to have a national anthem sung here on the start line.
All right, folks, We're going to get serious right here, but I also like to cut up and have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to introduce a special guest right here. He's a local friend of ours. He's come up here and worked at these events before, and he started him a little singing career. And I tell you what, his name's Alex, but he used to have a big old mullet, so he got a nickname of Morgan Walmarts. So we've got Morgan Walmarts in the house. He's my buddy, and he's going to tear it up. Now, women, please do me a favor. Keep your shirts on as he sings this, all right? Alex McGee in the house. We're glad to have him, brother.
Thank you. Do I need to wait till the cars get there? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good job, baby. Thank you. We got to drive.
Trying to use the best appropriate time we can. We sprayed the track, had to let it set a minute, so we done prayer and national anthem. We got to put a quick dragging on it to knock this glue in, and it's time to go drag racing. So we'll fire these guys up just as quick as Ross can make a pass or two on the tractor. We apologize, but we're trying to do the best we can. Sit tight, folks. First round of eliminations coming at you.
All right, back into your homes here on the live feed that we got going on, just answering a few questions. People ask, what happened to Larry Noel and the Crazy Horse? Well, the Crazy Horse got sold, the one that he won the 2018 Seagas World Championship in. Now he has the Crazy Pony, which runs in H-Gas, but Larry's just not here this weekend. That's it. He's still active, and we glad to have him, and so just wanted to let you know that, Lewis. Eliminations starting up very soon. Number 1 qualifier, Jerry Dean in Superstock. He's going to get a bye run the first round. We've had some attrition, so some people have had to fall out. Then Kenny Phillips and Bryant Dalton, that senior, that's going to be an interesting matchup in the 5-6 spot right there, first round. Tony Nowosadski with the number 3 qualifier in that Public Enemy. He's really turned it up a notch or 3 in his performance. He's really doing well. And he's going to be taking on Mickey Huddleston in the Tricky Mickey on the other side of the bracket. Don Wilmot and Ronnie Jones in the Crimson and Clover. Wilmot, the number 4 qualifier. Jones, the number 7 qualifier. So, I tell you what, Rob Walden is taking on Dean Hall, but Rob Walden and Jerry Dean are in both sides of the same. They're in the bracket the same side, so they're going to knock each other out. So we may have someone else to take a chance beating them this weekend. So it's going to be an interesting little bracket right here in our Superstock category as we're going to get those going in just a moment. Rookie dig right there coming out for Kenny Phillips out of Campobella, South Carolina. The number 5 qualifier after round number 1, or after qualifying. He's going to be taking on a number 6 qualifier, the Sevierville, Tennessee racer, Bryant Dalton Sr. in the first pair out here, Superstock round number 1. All right, Kenny Phillips taking the win right there as he was beaten on the line pretty bad. He had to drive back around Bryant Dalton Sr. So Kenny Phillips going to move on to round number 2. The Street Legal doing a great job driving around Bryant Dalton Sr., and that is no easy task right there. Because that car has been running on me, that little Falcon. So... but, man, he came on at the top end and did a great job, Dick Phillips. All right, Gardendale, Alabama, where the man in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane calls home. That is Tony Nowosadski, the number 3 qualifier here today, taking on the number 8 qualifier in Mickey Huddleston in the Tricky Mickey out of Cookeville, Tennessee. Noah Sotsky with the leave right there on the line. And that is all it's going to take as Noah Sotsky drives right by him. Hammers him to the tree and moves on to round number 2. Tony Noah Sotsky in the Public Enemy, that 1956 Chevy out of Gardendale, Alabama. All right, Don Wilmot, the number 4 qualifier, is going to make up the third pair out, along with Ronnie Jones in the Crimson and Clover out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Wilmot out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. I can't remember exactly where he just moved and told me. Clarksville, that's exactly right. Thanks for the assist right there. Clarksville, Georgia is where Don Wilmot calls home. Got to take that last train to Clarksville. So Wilmot going to be in the quick time performance lane. Ronnie Jones going to be in the Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane. 67 Camaro for Jones, 66 Mustang for Wilmot. Wilmot with the leave on him. Let's see if that's enough to take him through on the big end. And it is 0.44 reaction time right there for Wilmot. Beats the 2:14 reaction time. So that is a whole shot win right there for Don Wilmot, as he is out ET'd by Jones, but not doing, he took everything at the line. All right, the 63 Biscayne of Rob Walden, the Strychnine, going to find himself in the left-hand lane. He's the number 2 qualifier here today. He's going to race against Dean Hall in the Sledgehammer, that 1966 Fairlane GT out of Inman, South Carolina. Dean Hall got a very big hill to climb right here, but Rob Walden, we don't race them on paper, so we're going to see what happens here on the track with those 7-inch specialized spec tires that Mickey Thompson makes for this super stock category. Rob Walden just nails Dean Hall to the tree, and he stretches it out over the 660-foot mark and takes the win. So Rob Walden marches on to round number 2. Now, I told you with attrition we had a little bit of a goofy bracket here in Superstock, so there's actually 3 buys in this bracket. And the first buy in first round is going to go to Jerry Dean in the last Rebel 2 by virtue of being that number 1 qualifier. So he'll be up next to make his buy run. We'll see if he's going to run for elapsed time or if he's going to be fine with either lane. He's going to take the quick time performance right lane in this particular pass that he's about to make. He'll be facing off against Kenny Phillips in the street legal in the second round. So don't know if he'll go and run the car all out to try to get elapsed time over Kenny Phillips, or if he'll say, you know, I'm just going to take a leisurely half-track pull right here. Karen Mitchell backing him up, as she always does. The crew chief on that last Rebel 2. Karen Mitchell from Huntsville, Alabama. She's been racing with her dad ever since she was just little. So yes, Lewis, the Southeast Gassers have ran in Aiken before. think 2018 was the last time we were there. All right, Jerry Dean creeping into the pre-stage. A little soft on the leave right there, but nonetheless, Jerry Dean takes it through the big end in fine fashion right there. And I believe that will give him lane choice in round number 2. And just on the other hand, Seagas has only got one bye in the whole bracket. So if you're going to win in Seagas today, you're going to have to earn it through every round of racing.
Hey, have you called me yet?
We need B gas, B as in boy. We need B gas to the lanes for your first round of eliminations. B gas to the lanes for your first round of eliminations. To my knowledge, Alan Lovelady has broke. So Todd Oden, the number 1 qualifier, will have a competition single, not a bye, but a competition single in round number 1. All right, Dan Hogan in the flat-out Falcon. He's going to be in the quick-time performance right lane. The number 6 qualifier does Hogan, and that's a good qualifying mark for him. He's been getting closer and closer each time. He's going to be taking on John Leidick, the number 9 qualifier out of Gray, Georgia, in the high-strung 1957 two-door post that sits in the Larice Motorsports left lane. So Leidick turns on the red light, and Dan Hogan will automatically get that win. Number 4 qualifier, John McLaughlin, in the disorderly conduct, the 1948 Anglia. He's going to be over in the quick time performance right lane. He's out of Alabama. He's going to be taking on Jimmy Huff in the Hoopty Wagon out of Loganville, Georgia, the number 11 qualifier here today. Best qualifying effort McLaughlin's ever had. His wife backs him up, Jody McLaughlin. So she's backing him up, getting him in his beams right there in that 48 Anglia, the disorderly conduct. We appreciate you, Larry Baldwin, out of Richmond, Virginia, longtime viewer and fan. Both cars taking their time getting lined up and ready right here. So the pre-stage already been lit up by Jimmy Huff. Now both cars are pre-staged. Jimmy Huff gets the break on McLaughlin. Looks like Jimmy Huff going to go to the win right there, as it was all over after the starting line for McLaughlin. And a little bit of a mini upset there in round number 1 as Jimmy Huff's going to move on to round number 2. It's really good to see Jimmy, one of our Sportsman of the Year, our Sonny Hall Sportsman of the Year award several years back, and that is definitely fitting a man of Jimmy Huff's character. All right, Jeff Jones up next. He's going to, looks like another competition single as B.B. Brown has had a breakage. So Jeff Jones, the number 2 qualifier here today, going to get a competition single. He's driving the Renegade, car owned by Ken Rainwater, motor supplied by Jeff Jones and One Way Technologies out of Washington, Indiana. Jeff still getting a little bit accustomed to the seat, but he said it gets a little easier each time, as we all know who have been there. So that red light means nothing in a competition single format. But he took a shot at the tree right there. He missed. The red light caught him, but he'll adjust before second round. All right, we just got reports that Diana Casto has had a breakage as well. So Jaron Purdue will get a competition single. And, you know, this is a little uncharacteristic to have this many breakages in competition singles. But you got to understand you're dealing with some 60 era cars. And, you know, I don't know what might have broke on her car or what not. But, you know, it's hard putting the strain on them that we put on these cars in racing format to withstand some of the RPMs, some of the torque that's put on these, you know, rear axles, third members, things of that nature. So don't know what happened to Casto, but Jaron Purdue, the number 3 qualifier, will move into the second round by virtue of a competition single. Heather Peak putting him in the beams as she always does. He's going to take his time and rev it up to probably about 9,500 and drop the clutch and let it eat. Jaron Purdue with a good elapsed time, but man, that reaction time, he was a 0.16 on the tree. Now that was being on it right there. He was not going to let that opportunity pass by to take a shot at the tree and try to work on some more skills to get better each time. Next pair up, Dirty Ernie Smith out of Spartanburg, South Carolina in the Saturday Night Special, the number 8 qualifier here today. He's going to be taking on Randy Kiefer. He's out of Knoxville, Tennessee in the Spine Tingler. The Spine Tingler going to be in that Larice Motorsports Insurance left lane, the 1956 Pontiac Chieftain wagon. That is a tough car right there, that Spine Tingler. Campaigned in Superstock for many years, moved up to C-Gas last year, and in his second season of C-Gas. But only the number 7 qualifier, the number 8 qualifier, Ernie Smith. Now, he has had his problems. This is not characteristic of Ernie Smith's qualifying efforts for the last couple of years. Check out that Chieftain right there on the hood. He's got it illuminated, looking great. does Randy Kiefer as they get ready to go into the stage. Ernie Smith turns on the red light, so red is dead, and Ernie Smith has been eliminated by no other than himself. And Randy Kiefer moves to second round where he'll take on Jeff Jones coming up, and that'll be a good little matchup. The Renegade and the Spine Tingler, too. Todd Oden, by virtue of the competition single, he's just going to cruise down the racetrack, and the bye actually comes to Oden by being that number one qualifier next round, as Alan Lovelady had mechanical problems, broke, gives Oden a competition single. He doesn't need to run for elapsed time in the second round because he has a bye there. I tell you what, by tonight, you definitely wanted to be the number one qualifier in C-Gas. All right, Tony Taschenhorst right here in the Wasted Wages 1963 Chevy 2. The number 5 qualifier here today is going to be over in the Quick Time Performance right lane. And the number 10 qualifier, Scott Wallace, in the Indian Express, he's going to be in the left lane of the Larice Motorsports Insurance lane in his 1952 Pontiac Chieftain, and he hails out of Ellery, Illinois. All right, these guys already up to the pre-stage, getting ready to go right here. Taschenhorst out to an early advantage. Can he carry it through? And he does. Tony Taschenhorst, a 139 light to a 285 light for Wallace right there. Charles Chastain, Jeff Jones is Sam Jones' son. So that you're asking about Sam Jones' relation, that is his son. So Tony Taschenhorst is going to move on to round number 2 after that run right there, and he'll be taking on Jimmy Huff. The winner of that one going to get Todd Oden in round number 3, the semifinals. A-Gas, we need you to the lanes, please. A-Gas, we need you to the lanes, please. All right, we get ready to roll into B-Gas. Let's see what kind of matchups we got right here. Oh, there's a good one. Wayne Swafford and Mark Jones going to go at it in round number 1 to number 4 versus the number 7 qualifier.
Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment.
ARP, the ultimate fasteners for whatever you build. To get the best performance, always follow ARP's installation instructions included with the product. For the latest torque specs, go to arpinstructions.com.
but I'd like to propose a toast. Here's to weekly specials on ice cold beer, tankers, and taps. Here's to the interweb and being a clickety-clack away from smoked red tips, jumbo shrimp, and world-famous wings. Congratulations, Wings Etc. You make any day special.
Love the sound of a gasser banging through the gears as it makes a pass? Do you want that same feeling in your streetcar or truck? We've got the exhaust systems and parts that bring that iconic rumble straight from the golden age of drag racing. With a QuickTime Performance electronically controlled exhaust system, you can have race car loud with the flip of a switch or a push of a button. Give your ride that gasser sound it deserves.
It's been given word by track personnel in Southeast Gasser Management for all drivers to take their cars back to the pits. All drivers, take your cars back to the pits. If you're in the lanes, take your cars back to the pits, please. I hate to make that announcement, but it just looks like we're fixing to get hit with another little round of moisture here, and we don't know how to tell you to take care of your car any other way. So cars back to the pits, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is an announcement I did not want to make, but drivers and spectators, everybody who's here, first off, I want to thank you all for being here today, making the effort. There was some tireless efforts out there today and some great racing, even though we only got through just a little bit of it. But we are going to have to call this race for inclement weather, and we will complete this race at Rockingham at our next event. So we will be calling the race for the night. There is no racing tomorrow as the weather forecast looks less favorable tomorrow than it does tonight. So it's unfortunate. Didn't want to do it, but safety has to prevail out for our spectators and our racers. So we want to thank each and every one of you for taking your time being here today. We will be back to Knoxville Dragway. I can just about assure you of that for next year, because we have an outstanding crew here at Knoxville Dragway. You should patronize them as much as possible because they work tirelessly and they help us with bringing an event like this to you. And we want to come back up here to Thunder in the Valley. Thank you all. Remember, your right foot is a restrictor plate. Keep them out of the roads and ditches, and so you can come back and see us again next time. Thank you all.